Our next inductee, unfortunately, couldn't be with us tonight. He had all plans to be with us, but his mother-in-law is very ill, and Doug Betters was not able to attend. But I'm going to read a couple things, and then I'm going to turn it over to Rick Helmus, who had a chance to talk with Doug. He was very disappointed he couldn't be here tonight because of that. He played at Montana in 74 through 76, and then went to Nevada, Reno in 1977. He was an unbelievable defensive end for the Miami Dolphins in 78 through 87, a sixth-round draft pick, a member of the Killer Bees, if you remember those defensive players for Miami, and he was a member of that. He played in Super Bowl 17 and 19. In 1983, he was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And as most of you know, that's quite an accomplishment. He played in the NFL for 146 games, and was an assistant coach for the Grizzlies for a couple years. Unfortunately, in 1998, he suffered a spinal cord injury while skiing up in, I believe, near Whitefish, and is in a wheelchair for life, but he still has a great spirit and a great heart. He puts on the Doug Betters Winter Classic, which provides money for children that need medical help, and it's such a huge success. I know most of the NFL people in this room have been up there as Doug's guests to play in that. And let's go now to Rick Helmus.
Thank you, Bruce. I know a number of Grizzlies, probably Guy and Rocky, have been talking to Doug. His mother-in-law was taken off cancer treatment. I'm not going to say a lot. We're going to go to a film clip that he was wanting played here, so we're going to play a little one of Doug's film clips. He just said to tell you all that he loves you, and he promised he would be here next year. But, you know, obviously with Jennifer's mother, he can't leave. So we're going to look at a little something that he put together, and I think the Dolphins had a lot to do with this.
He was this role model for everyone.
Full of life, always had fun.
He has a definite sense of adventure. He's definitely a mountain man.
One day you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, the next day you're wheeling.
What happens when you live to fly and suddenly, without warning, you're forever grounded? What if the biggest moment in your career ultimately led you to tragedy? And what would you do out of that moment of despair? You rose and became the very best version of yourself. For former NFL Pro Bowler Doug Betters, that's exactly what happened. In 1983, his sixth season in the league, the NFL's top defender was Miami Dolphins defensive end Doug Betters. That year, he led the famed Killer Bees defense by tallying 16 sacks for the 12-4 Dolphins. Betters earned Pro Bowl and All-Pro honors and was named Defensive Player of the Year.
I think I was hitting on all 8 cylinders, completely healthy. And 83 was a kind of like the high water mark, you know, just perfect storm.
At just 21 years old, Doug was a sixth-round pick of the Miami Dolphins during the 1978 draft. With an outside shot of making the team come preseason, Betters opened the eyes of head coach Don Shula with one play.
Frank Tarkenton, I was kind of chasing him. I went to throw, and at the last minute, he kind of jogged, and I think I kind of just kind of threw my head in that direction to kind of trip him up as I went out there. Kind of knocked me out. You know, I think they diagnosed it as just a stinger.
That stinger would come back one day to change the course of Doug Betters' life. Betters played 10 years in the NFL, went to 2 Super Bowls, and was named one of the 50 greatest Dolphins of all time. He went on to live a normal life back in Montana, fishing, skiing, hunting, flying, doing all the things he loved to do. On one February morning in 1998, then 41, Doug went skiing, the same way he always had.
He was a great skier.
He's an expert skier. He could ski anything.
You know, expert skiers aren't immune to the hazards of one small mistake.
That particular day in February, February 5th, my mom's birthday, I was up skiing.
You know, I was skiing that day, and it was a a nice spring day.
It was a bluebird day. It was beautiful. It was one of those go fast days.
Maybe I make one more run because I'm going to be gone for a few days. I'm not going to ski for a couple, 3-4 days. So one more run. Wasn't making a lot of turns. I was just kind of pretty much going straight down, kind of like a downhill course. I was going 40, 45 miles an hour at least. And I got off the corduroy and hit this, it was kind of a flat light, and I hit some soft snow. My skis just kind of grabbed on me, and I just, it just enough to kind of lurch me forward, and I just did a header.
Got a call that somebody was underneath the lift, and I arrived on scene and I saw that it was Doug.
I was on the chairlift and I looked down and I saw him lying there. And somebody said, I think that's Doug. And I saw that it was his outfit and that was him, and I couldn't believe it.
I could see the divot where his head went in.
A 6'8", 180 football player falls, he leaves a hole about that big around. You could drop a car into it.
What they call a yard sell. I just kind of tumbled down and rolled for quite a ways and hit and landed on the bottom. And when I stopped, I went to get up, and I was having trouble getting up, and I couldn't figure that out.
And I came over to him and he said to me, I can't feel anything.
And she was saying, you know, stay down. Because I was trying to just, hey, just give me a hand. Well, for some reason, I can't get up.
He kept saying to me, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Doug Betters was paralyzed. Remember that sack on Fran Tarkenton, the one that got Doug Betters noticed by Don Shula? Well, several seasons after Betters made that play, Doug learned the lasting effect of that so-called stinger from team doctors. A small fracture to the C6 vertebrae in his spine. It turned out Doug Betters played his entire NFL career with a broken neck.
You know, the doctor in Miami, Dr. Barth Green, said to me, bottom line, because if not for your football injury, you would have walked away from that ski crash. So that sack was my greatest demise, was probably one of the things that really brought me in the spotlight, basically.
Despite being grounded, confined to a wheelchair, at 59 years old, there's nothing Doug Betters loves more than spreading his wings.
And he's an awesome pilot.
Yeah, I like to go fast. I mean, that's where my love of flying came up too. I don't know if it's much a speed freak. I'm not going to race and people are doing that sort of thing, but I like excitement. I like things that are a little more, I get bored easy, I guess.
Is this your favorite thing to do, flying?
I love it. Yeah, it's fun. I definitely learned lessons. I've learned patience, I've learned tolerance, I've learned a lot of things about myself. If you're a jerk before you broke your neck, doesn't make you going to be a saint, or vice versa, you know. I mean, yeah, I think my wife, Jennifer, said that, you know, she probably wouldn't have had anything to do with me in the old days, you know. That would have been probably some stuck up.
I think he said one time, like, I wish you would have known me then, and I said, if I would have known you then, I wouldn't have been interested. And I think for me, it's like now his soul shines through. He always had that, but now it shines through.
Doug Betters is many things: husband, friend, outdoorsman, pilot, fisherman, and philanthropist. In 1984, Doug started For the Children Incorporated, a charity that provides financial assistance to families with pediatric medical-related costs and raises roughly $50,000 per year.
They would go to the doctor and find out their kid had leukemia and had to go to Seattle today, you know, and so they would need some kind of backing to get there, and they would come up with some kind of a fundraising event so they could, you know. Then I got to thinking it would be a lot easier if we had this money already in place and people would have to start putting a pancake breakfast together. You know, they need to be there now.
He is incredibly generous. He started For the Children Foundation over 30 years ago, and I can't tell you how many times I've been with him, and these parents come up with tears in their eyes and say, if it wasn't for your foundation, our kid wouldn't be alive.
He has done so much for our community with the Winter Classic and just being a part of that community. Those things didn't stop.
That wasn't meant to be. You know, I wasn't meant to die that day, and you know, that's a lesson you learn from all kinds of experience. But I think you see it from sitting down. I'm a lot shorter than I used to be. I think I see it from a different perspective.
Mr. Doug Betters, ladies and gentlemen, that was a very touching piece.